Shabbat Shalom.
So nice to see you all here, behind me, on screen, all around. We have people in the room who are here for the first time. We'll shout you out later. We have people who are here because it's Shabbos, so obviously you're here. We have people who used to be here a lot and haven't been here in a long time, and we're so excited to welcome you back. We're so excited to be here as we move from last week really in the depths, and we start to on-ramp ourselves towards redemption and renewal and a new start. And that is something that I want to toast to, that I want to lift up this idea that we will be lifted up. This is Shabbat Nachamu, the Shabbat of comfort, the Shabbat of saying you were in a really deep, dark place, and now you will be lifted. Your spirit will be lifted. You will be lifted in community. If we were having services tomorrow and if we read the Haftorah, so those are two ifs that are not true, we would be reading the words of the prophet Isaiah saying, Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami, be comforted, my people. And that is what we have come here to do, to be together, to take comfort in being together, to take comfort in making music together, put off the things that are holding us down and allow ourselves to rise together. So I want to invite you to raise an imaginary glass or a real one if you have a water bottle. I learned a toast recently on Peloton, which should surprise nobody. Whether you're here for a short time or you're here for a long time, we hope you're here for a good time.
Clink.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
We hope you're here for a good time. We hope you'll sing. We hope you'll let go of what's holding you down and let yourself be risen up.
We're on page 2. custom to continue to read down through these psalms, go for it. Otherwise, we sing the universal language of Yananai. On the top of four. We turn to 7 and stand. and take a seat. Still at the bottom of 7. So last Sunday, for reasons that are important but we will talk about another time, a bunch of Mishkanites went down to Lawndale Community Church, which is a Christian church, as the name would suggest, in Lawndale, to participate in their worship service. Sort of, to observe, but also like our Davening team led like Mishkan in many ways, not in all ways, not in some very fundamental ways, but like there was standing up, there was clapping, there was singing, there was not 3 seconds between the beginning of a song and everybody in the room singing it, even if they didn't know it. We were trying to teach Sanctuary. Sanctuary is sort of, we were trying to think of some common shared tunes, So, oh Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary. That one, it's like sort of a Mishkan favorite. And then, of course, we add on the Hebrew. And usually when we do it, we'll have like the Hebrew printed out somewhere so that people can follow along. But it wasn't possible to print it, so I was just shouting it to all the people. Vasuli! Vasuli! Mikdash! Mikdash! And everybody was really trying. They were really trying. And I was thinking, in some places, people would just keep their mouths shut until they felt like they were an expert in every word, right? And so, okay, this is one thing that happened was that at the end of both the service and also we had like a sort of talk-back discussion afterwards, the pastor gave like a beautiful benediction. At the end of the service, he said something beautiful, off the cuff. I'm sure it wasn't totally off the cuff, but it felt like it was, it looked like it was. And then he'd hand me the mic and be like, Rabbi, your turn, you do a benediction. And I'm like, they didn't teach us to do this in religious school or rabbinical school, to do the off-the-cuff prayer thing. They taught us how to read out of here, right? They taught us how to read from the prayer book and become an expert in prayer from the page. They didn't teach me how to be an expert in prayer from the heart. So I wonder how many of you maybe can relate to that, where it's like you spend all this time trying to figure out how to pray off the page as if that's doing it right, and then when actually given the opportunity to say something authentic from the heart in the moment that is a prayer, you're like at a loss for words. Wait, I'm supposed to come up with something? It's like, oh, how do you think they came up with this stuff? How do you think they came up with this stuff? Somebody just wrote it down. And then for thousands of years, everybody thought it was a good idea to keep repeating the things that somebody said 2,000 years ago. But what we should keep doing is using this and also cultivating our own voice. And so, the other thing is they practice this in church. And so about 15 minutes into the prayer service, they stand up, they got a mic over here and a mic over here, and he's like, prayer and praise time, everybody. And people just start lining up. Prayer and praise. Anybody who wants a prayer for a family member, for somebody who's going through something, for yourself, for somebody in your, come on up here and we will pray for you. And also, if you got something you wanna celebrate, we will celebrate with you. And so, like, of course, over here and over here, you got people saying, like, she's got a 4-year-old sleeping on her. It's this girl's birthday, and everybody's like, oh, Sarah, it's her birthday, you know. And over here, this person's praying for his niece who's diagnosed with cancer, and everybody knows it. And so the whole community knows the prayers of everybody else in the community. And then we can keep praying together. And so Rabbi Stephen and I were like, could this possibly work? And I know what you're all thinking now, Jesus, are they going to make us do this?
But without the Jesus.
I don't know what to say. So what we actually thought first of all, the place where I trained at ECAR, the Rabbi Brous would say, you have to bake into the identity of a community the desire to be experimental. If you don't bake it into the identity of a community, then when you try and do something experimental, people will say, oh, but we haven't done that before. And then you'll say, I know, but let's try something new. And they'll say, but that's not part of what we do, right? And so if you bake into the identity of a community, as I hope that we have here, that we're actually okay with trying new things and, you know, being a little bit vulnerable, and maybe it'll work, and maybe it will be super awkward. But maybe it'll be beautiful. Who knows? You won't know unless you try. So we got a handheld mic over here. And I want to try a moment of prayer and praise, which is to say, if you have somebody you are praying for, or you are thinking about, or a situation that you actually feel like you could marshal the prayer resources and energy of a community here. That's what you all came to do tonight, at least before the food. So, like, let's actually use the energy that we brought tonight on behalf of each other, but not just to pray for, but also to celebrate with. What might you be celebrating? It doesn't have to be a really big deal. It could be a small thing. So come on up here, because this is where we have microphones. And I'll invite you to say one sentence. No semicolons, dashes, or otherwise non-one sentence sentences, actually one sentence sentences, and just say your name. Turn it on. It's on?
Should be on. Yeah, we're just waiting for the tail.
Speak loud enough. My name is Rodrigo, and my daughter had her very first job interview ever.
Wow. Congratulations. And you know what we can do after somebody has spoken? We can say, I've heard you in Hebrew, which is shamati. So shamati.
Shamati.
My friend Nicole died of cancer recently, and she left her 11-year-old daughter and husband and family. So just processing that grief, and would love some prayers for her family and for her. For Nicole. Thank you. Daughter. She has her daughter Dylan and her husband Elliot. For Nicole's whole family. 48.
Shamati.
My name's Ayelet, and I just want to announce that I got a job yesterday.
Shamati.
All right.
Hi. Oh. Woo! I'm Jolie. I'm Ayelet's
God's friend. I'm from Chicago, but I just moved back after graduating college, and I rediscovered Judaism and my love for it while I was in Boston and didn't even know this existed until I went to a different state. So I'm really excited to be here and join you guys and continue doing
back.
things.
Welcome back. Shamati.
I'm Amelia, also back from college, and I just want to remember I was late coming here because someone on the train got hit next to my station, and I just want to remember them.
Oh, Shamati.
Shamati.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I just want to celebrate my cousin is getting married for the first time, age 50, next weekend, and we're going to Maine to celebrate, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, mazel tov to your cousin, Shamati.
Hi, I'm Nico, and I'm just going to celebrate the fact that I'm blessed with both my kids being here for the week.
Yeah.
I'm graduate school this fall, and I'm just super proud.
Shamati.
Hi, I'm Barb, and this is really loud. I'd like to ask for some prayers for my younger sister, Lana. She's out of the hospital, but not out of the woods. Thanks.
Okay. Shamati. Prayers for Alana.
Hello, I'm Stephanie. I've been trying to get pregnant for 2 years. It's not working. So just a little love would be nice.
We are praying for you, Shamati.
Hi, that is loud. I'm Jenna. I'm praying for my friend Andrea right now, who definitely has metastatic cancer. So let's have some prayers for Andrea.
For Andrea. Shamati.
I'm Chelsea. I'm thinking of my father-in-law who had surgery today and waiting to hear some more information. So thinking of him. Thank you.
So I have one. I do. They're actually sitting behind me. I told them I was going to do this at a different part of the service, so I apologize for throwing this at you. But you knew it was coming anyway. So I would love for Mike and Elisa to stand up and join me up here. There is going to be some crinkly things being passed out right now that your job is to neither eat nor crinkle them, but to hold them quietly in your hand. So Mike and Lisa in 2 weeks are going to be celebrating their marriage under the chuppah. I am so honored and so blessed to be looking forward to standing there with the two of you. You brought some family with you? Yes? Yeah, shout out to family. Welcome, Mazal Tov. Today I didn't even realize, you two picked auspicious days. We're going to talk about this more in 2 weeks, but you're getting married on the 1st of Elul, the beginning of this month that leads towards Rosh Hashanah, towards renewal, towards possibility, and we're celebrating your Ofruf on Tu B'Av. We're in the last hours of Tu B'Av, which we'll talk a little bit about more later, but is the day we celebrate love and the possibility of love, and the fact that love doesn't just happen, but love is a choice that we make. That love is a choice we make, and that you've chosen to love one another. You had the opportunity that was presented to you, and you grabbed onto it. And so I celebrate you as people in this room are going to, in a moment, pelt you with candy and with love. I want everybody in this room to hold on to that possibility as well, because we're not just celebrating the love you've chosen, but the example that you also set for us. That love is there if we choose to have it. Love is there if we choose to give it. Love is there if we choose to receive it. But there is possibility of love even when things are tough and even when we can't see it. That possibility is there, so thank you for reminding us of that. And I think we're about ready to key change.
I want to invite anybody who's able to stand up and pelt these two. stand so we can welcome in the Sabbath Queen, the Sabbath Bride. We turn in the direction of the door. We hold out our hands. We welcome in all of the energy and the prayers that you called in just a moment ago for healing and for recovery and for transformation of a process, for victory, for finding what it is you long for, and for celebration of your many blessings. And to those who have been lost in this past week, and for those remembering them, we say the words at the bottom of page 9. You can say them with me. Hamakom yenachem etchem b'tov sha'ar avlei Zion Yerushalayim. May the Holy One comfort you and everyone who's mourning among our people and all people. And we can take a seat. Something I should have said during the prayer and praise was that we have a bunch of people here who haven't been in a while, which includes 2 former leadership fellows at Mishkan. I want to call out Grace Gleason and Ezra Furman. Both people who in the past, but this is before we had second rabbis and other rabbis, and it was just me plus someone. And, every now and again it was like, does anybody want to be a rabbi one day? And, Rabbi Stephen at a certain point was like, me. And then Grace at a point was like, me. And Ezra was like, maybe? and it's been it's been sort of this evolving thing that the truth is, since we've had other rabbis on staff, we haven't actually known what to do with the fellowship. And so we sort of put a leadership fellow, so we pushed pause. But what it allowed for and enabled was so many people kind of coming up through the ranks and learning stuff by doing, which is the best way to learn. And so they're both going to be doing a little thing tonight here and there, so stay tuned. For everybody who's here for the first time, welcome. It's great to have you in the house. And we are entering, as Rabbi Dina said, a season. Now that this sad holiday she referred to is over, is in the past, Tisha B'Av, it's actually just under 7 weeks, or just over 6 weeks until Rosh Hashanah. I know. Thank you for sharing my anxiety. For those of you who are builders in our community, you've probably received many emails from us saying, get registered for High Holidays now, because we're going to be at an indoor venue. We're going to be at the Athenaeum Theater, which means we have limited number of seats. And so if you want to do High Holidays with us, and we hope that you do, now is a great time to actually become part of the community if you think you might want to take that step. This whole season is a little bit about looking at your life. So consider yourself invited, and I hope we get to party together at Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and during the 10 days in between and in the 6 week leading up. On our calendar and in our emails every week, you will see ways to do all of that. Rabbi Stephen's teaching a class in September to get more familiar with the High Holiday Prayer Book, but also use the prayer book as a roadmap for the spiritual work of the season. We have services on our regular schedule until about midway through September, at which point we'll do Slichot, which is the Saturday night before Rosh Hashanah. It's actually a week before Rosh Hashanah, outdoors in North Center Town Square, and then you will not hear from us until Rosh Hashanah. So just, from now until then, stay tuned, stay engaged. We can't wait to continue to pray and sing together. Is there anything you want to make sure that people know about before we go into Mariv? All right. Well, in that case, I want to invite us to stand. What I will say is on the 26th, in 2 weeks, will be our last outdoor Shabbat service at Parker, and we're going to be celebrating all of the people who completed our conversion class. We're going to be, and it's a lot of people. It's a lot of new Jews. It's real fun. And we're going to be celebrating everybody who's joined the community. We're going to be sort of celebrating the end of summer, the beginning of, the school year, if that's a thing for you. And if it's not a thing for you, celebrating that it's not a thing for you, but it's a thing for other people. So anyway, that'll be on August 26th in a couple weeks outdoors. All right. We turn to 13. We face east. And thank you, Grace, for leading us.
את אדוני המבורך.
Baruch Adonai המבורך לעולם ועד.
Baruch Adonai המבורך לעולם ועד.
Amen. You can be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidbaro ma'ariv arabim. בחוכמה פותח שערים ובשבבה של לעתים מחללים את הזמנים מסדר את הכוכבים במשמרתיהם רק כרצונו. בורא יום ולילה.
מעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו.
אל חי וקיים,
תמיד יברך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב הרבים.
We're on 14. אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת. כי אדוני אלוהינו בשוך בנו ובקום בנו נשיח בחוקיך.
כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה, ואהבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. Before we continue with the Shema, I want to just pause for a moment of stillness and set an intention as we say this prayer together. The past few months I've been a chaplain in training at Lutheran General Hospital, and haven't had that many Jewish patients. I've mostly been serving people of other faiths. And something I've been thinking about a lot is the universal and the particular. And there have been many occasions when a Christian patient, as we were speaking about, or a Hindu patient, wants to pray in a way that stretches my boundaries and my way that I usually pray. And in those moments, I've pushed myself to remember that there is one God, we're praying to the same God, and to honor the particular boundaries of the faith that I have and the tradition that I have. And we're in the book of Devarim right now in our Torah calendar, and so much of this book, as much of the Torah, is injunctions against idol worship. And in the best read of this, it's not a Jewish chauvinist dig at other religions, but a constant reminder that there is a oneness that we must remember, and it's so easy to forget it. So we need this repeated injunction not to worship other things. And so this tension, I think, we're about to say the Shema. This tension is encapsulated in the words of the Shema. We say, this is what Moses says to the Israelites. We say, Hashem Eloheinu is our God, and Hashem Echad is one. That God, when we speak about God, can only be the oneness of all things. And this is what we say to each other when we say Shema. So there's something beautiful when we're praying communally, that the sound itself mirrors the words. And I invite you, as we say this prayer together, to pick out the individual voices and to hear the one sound that we have together as we proclaim that all is one. So we close our eyes to hear and continue with Shema. 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 Adonai Elohechem
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi.
I'm so happy I'm here right now. Sure. Good Shabbos, all. Yeah, I'm thinking about. So we're going into this prayer Hashkivenu, and I'm thinking about the audacity of it. I guess the audacity of praying in general, and this prayer, for sure. It asks. I've started to see a lot of Jewish prayers, and certainly this one, as like a litany of asking, we want this and this. We want to sleep in peace. We want to get up in the morning, and we want protection, and we want your guidance, and we want no enemies, no plague and sword, no hunger, no pain. It's just asking for so much, and it's like for me, it's a master class. I need to practice that, asking for a lot. And it's the parsha this week, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, it's about Elchanan, right? Mm-hmm. Which means it's Moses speaking in the first person. And I pleaded, and it's Moses asking God, I already know the answer. I'm not supposed to go into the promised land, but I'm just pleading, like just asking again and again. And it gets to a point where God says, like, no, stop asking. Stop asking. And I was thinking, like, if God doesn't, that means that if God doesn't say stop asking, if you don't hear God say stop asking, that means you should just keep asking. God will tell you if you should not ask anymore. And I'm keeping this in mind. I just found this diary this morning that I wrote in early 2014 when I was just treating myself like dirt. And I was like, I don't know. It was a hard time for me, and I was sleeping like 4 hours a night, and I'm like chronicling it all and drinking too much, and I wasn't telling my friends when I needed things. And I was just starting to make these halting steps to, like, maybe I could ask for more. And it was right around the time when I was making halting steps to like observing Shabbat regularly in the way that I wanted to and asking for that. And like, this is my covenant for this prayer and for this Shabbat, that like we ask for a lot. We treat ourselves and each other like we're of infinite value and irreplaceable, which we are.
Amen. Evil spirits from our path and protect us under the shadow of your wings. Remember, people wrote these. You can add whatever you want. May you guard our comings and our goings for life and peace now and forever. Bottom of 19. Saleno sukkah shlemecha, Baruch atah Adonai, Kol Amo Yisrael, Yerushalayim. We're on 20. Yeshaveru v'neged. starts on page 21, goes all the way till about 28, and the custom is to take 3 steps backward and then 3 steps forward in the place where you are to kind of create your own personal prayer space for whatever words are on your heart or the words in the book. Or both.
Take your time, but whenever you feel complete in your personal prayer, you may be seated. So I recently finished teaching a 4-part workshop called Couples in Conversation, which is a curriculum developed by an organization called 18 Doors, formerly Interfaith Family, which helps interfaith couples build the skills to navigate the challenges that are not necessarily unique to their relationships, but can be exacerbated by the fact that each partner comes from a different religious or cultural background or tradition. In one of the workshops, we practice differentiating between positions on one hand and then values or feelings on the other. So I'm going to give you an example of this. So an example of a position is every December, I want to put up a Christmas tree. And its corollary, also a position, I will never, ever in my life have a Christmas tree in my home. These are positions. They are a problem, and the problem with these positions in particular, which function, as we probably can relate on some level, as the locus of most arguments in any kind of relationship we have, is that they are inflexible and they're uncompromising, and more often than not, they cannot coexist. Right? I want a Christmas tree every year, and I never want a Christmas tree. Like you can't do both at the same time, right? And so the key here, to move any discussion from argument to some sort of compromise or solution, is that we need to move ourselves from positions to the values or the feelings that stand behind them. So let's use our example here about the Christmas tree, right? So the position of every December, I want to have a Christmas tree, well, maybe if we actually take some time and think about it, the value might be, I value carrying on the traditions of my childhood. Or, I feel joy when I decorate my home for the holidays. And the position, I will never, ever, ever in my life have a Christmas tree in my home, might actually be an expression of, I value my sense of difference as a religious minority in this country. Or, I actually don't feel like these symbols of this season are for me to enjoy. When we are able to speak from this place of feelings and values, we begin to understand what moves us toward taking a particular stance. And perhaps more importantly, what lies behind the point of view of the person that we're talking to. And more often than not, where our respective positions cannot get along, we come to discover that the way we feel and what we value are understandable. They're relatable, if not sometimes actually completely aligned. Right? Even if the positions are in complete opposition, sometimes the values underneath them are the exact same thing. And while this might not lead to an immediate solution, it certainly builds the foundation for thinking creatively, thinking with creativity, or thinking creatively, either, or both, for equity and respect, and for moving forward together. The thing is, we live in a world that demands positions rather than create space to share our feelings and values, right? The character limit of Twitter, right, of Facebook posts, of Instagram stories, they want, they need, they crave strong statements, and they discourage any kind of space for nuance or subtlety. And from the classroom to the boardroom, we also value strong statements, strong stands, and not equivocation or uncertainty that feelings might introduce into that space. We are told to stick our guns, right? Stick to your guns, stay the course, stand your ground. And perhaps, maybe just a little bit, we are all finally coming to understand the consequences of this kind of culture, which values positions so much. We have deadlock in our government, and communities around us are being fractured by this need for ideological purity, and families are pulled apart by political differences in opinion that might have been tolerated not so long ago. And as we pull ourselves further apart, the space for subtlety, for nuance, for understanding begins to disappear. Now, lest you all think this is a recent phenomena, I want to rewind the clock about 2,000 years. So as I mentioned earlier, a couple days ago, we observed Tisha B'Av, which asks us to recall the accumulated tragedies of our people. And the day itself actually falls on the anniversary of the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE. After a protracted war between the Kingdom of Judea and the Roman Empire. And it's really important, given our vast historic distance from this event, to really feel the terrible consequences of this war. And historic accounts from the time, rabbinic accounts, talk about streets that were filled with blood and bodies piled up because there's no one to bury them, and rampant starvation. And in the end, the temple, this place that was quite literally thought of as the dwelling place of God's self, was reduced to rubble. How could this happen? How could such a terrible thing happen? Was it because the Romans were just so much larger in number and so much more superior at war? Was it because the Judean elite was just not prepared, didn't have the resources? No, the rabbis answer, that's actually not why this happened. The reason this calamity befell us, the reason so many died, the reason the temple was destroyed, the reason we have lived as a diaspora people for 2 millennia is because of sinat chinam, of baseless hatred that had taken root among our people. Now, where did this hatred come from? Where did such a powerful hatred come from? The rabbis explained that it was born from the distance, that space that had grown between Jews who were no longer able to relate or be in relationship with people who thought or acted differently from one another, even if the gap between those thoughts and those actions was so small. Our tradition offers a few case studies of this, but I actually want to turn to what I think is one of the best examples, and some of the best examples of this particular kind of rift, of this hatred, comes from the Gospels. The first 4 books of what we now know as the New Testament. And if you think it's really weird that I am quoting from the New Testament as a rabbi on Shabbat in a Jewish space, it's so important to understand that the Gospels, which tell the story of Jesus' life from birth to execution by the Romans some 30 years before the events of Tisha B'Av, are largely the product of Jewish authors, right? And in the exact same space as the Mishnah, which serves as the foundation for the tradition that we practice today. And both the Gospels and the Mishnah, both the beginnings of the New Testament and the beginnings of Rabbinic Judaism, were written against the backdrop of growing rifts within Judean society and the disastrous war with the Roman Empire and the destruction of the Jerusalem and the temple, and the attempt to reshape biblical Judaism into something that could survive in a world that had been so disastrously turned upside down, a world that had been so shaped and reshaped by this baseless hatred. So let me tell you a Bible story. So the story goes that Jesus is teaching in a synagogue one Shabbat, and he sees a woman who'd been cursed by an evil spirit, bent over for 18 years, unable to stand up straight. And as Jesus is wont to do in these stories, he reaches out and he touches her and he says, "Dear woman, you are healed of your sickness." And miraculously, she stands upright. Now, I want a side note here, lest you think this is like exclusively a Christian thing. The Talmud, our tradition, is like full of stories of rabbis doing the exact same thing. It was a big thing back then. Touching people, they're healed, it's great.
Did you take that class in rabbinical school? I didn't.
You know, I think we lost it somewhere, actually. I know,
God,
right?
all the good stuff was 2,000 years ago.
Along comes one of the Pharisees, the bad guys of the Gospels, which, spoiler alert, are actually the good guys of the Talmud.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
There are 6 days of the week to be healed, this Pharisee says. This is Shabbat. Like, come back another day to do this work. Jesus gets angry and says to the Pharisee, "Well, I've seen you do work on Shabbat. I've seen you untie your donkey or your ox and lead them to the trough to get water. And I'm simply releasing this woman from what bound her." The Pharisee responds, "That is not at all the same thing." And all the gospel account ends here. I imagine that Jesus then says, "Yes, it is." And the Pharisee probably says, "No, it's not." And Jesus is probably like, "Duh, it is." And they go their separate ways. Looking at this story from our vantage point, I imagine that most of us can probably identify some of the values that underlie their respective positions. Very Jewish values. Healing the woman upholds the value of pikuach nefesh, of preserving life, which supersedes every other mitzvah. It aligns with our belief that people are created b'tselem Elohim in the divine image and are therefore worthy to live lives of dignity. It demonstrates the softening of din, of maintaining order through the lens of rachamim, of having compassion. And what the Pharisee did, untying the donkey or ox, maintains the command that even our animals are meant to enjoy Shabbat. To untie them in order that they might drink avoids tsar ba'aleim chaim, causing unnecessary distress or pain to living creatures in our care. And it too, in some ways, is also upholding pikuach nefesh, of preserving life. And perhaps we can actually also see in both the positions of Jesus and the Pharisee the desire to uphold the sanctity of Shabbat and how they both understand that certain actions are to be done on this day and certain actions are not to be done on this day, to differentiate Shabbat from the work week, and how these norms help us form community and create identity. Yet somehow they're unable to see that. And if we're also honest with ourselves, We probably very much understand why Jesus and the Pharisee held their respective positions, even if their unspoken values aligned. We know things get better. We know things go well when we are able to get to the why that stands behind the what. Yet so often, and I will call myself out on this one, we allow ourselves to get caught up in the moment, the need to be right, the desire to win the argument. We forget that it's possible, in fact, it's probably likely that our position is not always the best answer. And in doing so, we close ourselves to the possibility that a different approach based on holding a multiplicity of views, including, and perhaps most importantly, those we disagree with, might actually turn us towards what's most important, what our values are. This kind of either-or thinking is not only unproductive, is not only harmful, I would say it feels very un-Jewish. As the adage goes, 2 Jews,
3 opinions.
3 opinions. 2 Jews, 3 opinions. And the reason we are able to say that, the reason we have that saying in our tradition, is that in response to the devastating consequences of sinat chinam, of baseless hatred, the rabbis, yes, the very same ones talked about in the Gospels, remake our tradition by moving from the stringent maintenance of positions to the exploration of feelings and values, which are messy, which don't provide easy answers, which don't lend themselves to hot takes or sound bites, which provide many, if not infinite, ways to move forward. It is why, if you open the Talmud, you cannot find one opinion about something, or one rule about something, or one way of being a Jew. Instead, it is an open and perhaps frustratingly open conversation between individuals interrogating the positions they have taken to understand what are the values, what are the feelings, what is it that lies behind them, what is it that really matters. And this, I believe, this dialogue, this conversation, this engagement is the exact opposite of hatred. And perhaps it's actually love. I don't think it's an accident of the calendar that Tisha B'Av, which reminds us of what is lost when hatred takes root, is followed in our calendar 6 days later, right now, by Tu B'Av, which celebrates what is gained from love. In ancient times, this was a day when young unmarried folks would dress in white and would go out into the vineyard and would dance, perhaps meeting someone new, perhaps finding love, but at the very least, showing up to see and be seen by those around them. To see and be seen. What a vulnerable act. What a courageous act. What an act of love. This is what happens when we move from standing by our positions to articulating our feelings and values. It is sharing the deepest parts of ourselves and listening, allowing another to do the same. What a frightening thing to do. What a risk. What an act of faith to step out from behind the protective and inflexible walls of our positions and to share our whole self with its uncertainties and its unknowns and its growing edges and its feelings and its messiness. But it is within this space precisely that we find the possibility of paths forward that perhaps we would have never been able to discover from the safety of our respective sides of the argument. So let's talk about Christmas trees again. If you come to my house this December, you will likely find my mom and me lighting the menorah next to our Christmas tree. After I converted in 2010, I had never thought I would see a Christmas tree in my home again. I was a never, ever, ever again in my life would there be a Christmas tree. But my mother is going to be my roommate starting next month. Yes, I'm living with my mom again. And so it's no longer my house. It's no longer just my house. And while my mom doesn't necessarily go over the top for the holidays, she does like to make her place a little more festive for Christmas. And the Christmas season calls for a Christmas tree. The idea of putting up a tree in my home causes a flood of questions. Does it make me less Jewish? Does it make me less of a rabbi? Am I a bad Jew? Why did I convert in the first place if I'm going to put up a Christmas tree in the middle of my home? Not even the middle of my home. I think the place to put it is actually literally in the window, like on the street. It would be easy to allow these questions, these fears, to turn me towards the uncompromising position of a treeless home. But understanding the values that move my mother to pull that box out of storage every single year, and to articulate the values that caused me to go find wherever I hid my menorah last year and pull it out as well. To hold space for each other to share what that means to both of us has opened a way forward where the menorah and the Christmas tree, standing side by side, an unsatisfactory compromise of an unhappy conflict, but are instead an act of love. My blessing for all of us this Shabbat is that we're able to take that risk, to have that vulnerability, to step out from that which feels safe and secure and known, and maybe take a little bit of a journey into the unknown so we can find a way forward together with love.
Amen. 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 King Hiratzon, may it be so.
We're gonna stand up? We're gonna stand up.
We're gonna stand up. We're on 32. Kick us off. Bottom 32. Kaddish Yatom, Mourner's Kaddish, is on page 34. Thinking about Nicole, thinking about anybody who you may be remembering tonight because they passed in the past week or month or year, or maybe it's their yahrzeit, the anniversary of their death, or maybe you're just thinking about them tonight. So we'll take a moment to actually hear who we're remembering, if you want to share.
Michael's sister and Jacqueline's are related to your side of his grandfathers. My mother and Michael's grandmother.
Your parents who would have loved to have, all of the parents who would have loved to have been present and are present. May all of their memories be blessings. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'alma divrach rirtei, ve'amlich malchutei, v'chayachon uvyomechon uv'chayei t'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agala uv'zman kariv ve'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudsha le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran be'alma v'imru Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Usei shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. May all of their memories be blessings. Blessings. Yeah, what's your announcement?
I forgot to make an announcement. Is this on? Oh, it is on. Yes.
Announcements.
It's on. This Sunday, we, one of our amazing social justice teams is going to be canvassing at the, which farmers market? Logan Square Farmers Market. To raise awareness around ECPS, yes, which is an amazing legislation that our team helped pass this last year to create a civilian oversight committee for the Chicago Police Force, and now they're looking for people to be on said committee and raise more awareness about it. So if you're interested in joining our team on Sunday morning, talk to Joe. And thank you for everything you do.
Awesome. Truthfully, there's a bunch of stuff going on, and what I mentioned earlier about if you want to join the community, there is a new builder orientation. Like if you want to join, we're doing an orientation this coming Tuesday, and it's online. Half of what we do is either completely online or also online, and so that's something that, because we have people joining from around the country, amazingly, it always makes sense to just have those be online. So hopefully you can join us. And Dala happening also this Saturday night. This Saturday night. Like it's a little weird that it's already mid-August. Sorry, it's like strange looking at that date on the calendar. And then toward the end of the month, actually, we're doing a fertility support night for people who are going through fertility journeys, wherever you might be in that space. And so if you're curious about it, talk to Kyle. And that'll be in our office in person, and that will not be live streamed. So I want to invite people to join us. We've got food and drink after the service. We will stand. We will make kiddush. We will make motzi. These are things to bless wine, bless bread. We will sing ourselves out, and then just to say, we're doing masks in the sanctuary because this is the thing that people come here for, and it's sort of non-negotiable, and you're all sitting next to each other and singing all over each other. But as we move into the other space, feel free, as we're eating, to just do what's comfortable for you. And Shabbos. Let's stand. Kiddush is on page 30.
Vayerev vayivoker yom hashishi, vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz, v'chol tzevam, vayechal Elohim vayom hashvi, melachto asher asa, vayishbot bayom hashvi, mikol melachto asher asa, vayevarech Elohim et yom hashvi, vayikadesh oto, ki bo shavad mikol melachto asher bara Elohim lasot savri.
L'chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu.
Middle 30.
Shabbat kodsho b'ahavam ratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh b'reishit. Ki hu yom techila l'mikrai kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Ki banu b'charta v'otanu kidashta b'mkol ha'amim b'shabbat kodshecha b'ahava u'b'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Take and pass. Yes, get it going around, get it going around. Somebody feed me a piece so I didn't make a blessing in vain. Just put it right in finger. Shalom Alechem, Malachei Asharei, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Alechem, Malachei Asharei, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, 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 Shalom Alechem, Malachei Asharei, make sure it gets all the way around. Make sure you say hello to somebody you've never met before here tonight on your way out. Just introduce yourself.